She was 67 years old. Sitting at her kitchen table on a Tuesday morning, the kind of morning that should have felt ordinary, sunlight coming through the window, coffee going cold beside her, a crossword puzzle open in front of her. She used to finish that puzzle in 12 minutes. She timed herself. It was her little private victory every morning, proof that her mind was still quick, still sharp, still hers. That morning, she had been sitting there for over an hour. She couldn't remember a 5-letter word for ocean. A word she had known since she was 8 years old. She closed the book. She didn't tell her daughter. She didn't mention it at her next doctor's appointment. She filed it quietly into that drawer inside herself where she kept all the things she wasn't ready to look at yet, the forgotten names, the mid-sentence disappearances, the moments where she'd walk into a room and stand there in complete blankness, unable to remember why she had come. She told herself it was tiredness. She told herself it was stress. She told herself everyone forgets things sometimes. But she knew. In that place beneath the excuses, she knew something had shifted. And she was terrified. If you are over 60, and you have felt that strange, suffocating fog that settles over your thinking like a curtain you cannot pull back, then what you are about to hear is not just a health video. It is not tips and tricks and generic wellness advice. It is something grounded in real, peer-reviewed science, and it speaks directly to something millions of people over 60 are quietly experiencing and almost nobody is talking about honestly. Because there is a drink. Simple. Inexpensive. Sitting on the shelves of almost every grocery store in the world. And the research around what it does to the aging brain, specifically the brain after 60, is genuinely remarkable. But before we get there, we need to understand what brain fog actually is. Because it is one of the most misunderstood, most dismissed, most quietly devastating experiences of aging, and it deserves to be taken seriously. Brain fog after 60 is not laziness. It is not weakness of character. It is not, as so many people are casually told, just a normal part of getting older. It is a biological event driven by at least 3 distinct mechanisms that begin accelerating in your 6th decade of life, and understanding them is the first step toward actually doing something about them. The first mechanism is neuroinflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation inside the brain that disrupts the communication pathways between neurons. Imagine trying to have a conversation in a room where someone is constantly creating interference. The words are being spoken, the signal is being sent, but the static is so persistent that the message keeps breaking apart before it arrives. That is what neuroinflammation does to your thinking. It doesn't stop your brain from working. It makes it work badly. The second mechanism is oxidative stress. Every day, your brain cells are under sustained assault from molecules called free radicals, unstable particles generated by normal metabolism, environmental toxins, processed foods, and chronic stress. These particles damage cell membranes, degrade mitochondrial function, and slowly erode the brain's capacity to process information and form new memories. By the time you reach 60, your body's natural antioxidant defenses, the internal systems designed to neutralize these particles, have weakened considerably. The damage begins to accumulate faster than it can be repaired. The third mechanism is reduced cerebral blood flow. Your brain accounts for only 2% of your body weight, but it demands 20% of your entire blood supply. After 60, the small, delicate blood vessels that carry oxygen and glucose into the deepest regions of brain tissue begin to stiffen, narrow, and lose their elasticity. Less blood flow means less oxygen delivery. Less oxygen means slower neural processing, poorer working memory, and that thick, heavy mental fog that no amount of sleep seems to completely lift. 3 forces. Operating simultaneously. Every single day. And most people over 60 are never told, clearly, directly, honestly, that what they eat and drink can influence all 3 of these mechanisms in measurable, documented ways. Which brings us to the drink. It is not an expensive adaptogen powder that costs $40 a bag. It is not a pharmaceutical supplement with a list of side effects longer than the list of benefits. It has been consumed by human beings for over 4,000 years. And in the countries where it has been a daily ritual for centuries, rates of age-related cognitive decline are among the lowest ever recorded on this planet. It is green tea. Specifically, matcha, or high-quality traditionally brewed loose-leaf green tea, consumed daily, with consistency. Now, before your mind dismisses this, before something in you thinks, it's just tea, it can't possibly matter that much, stay with the science for a few minutes. Because what researchers have found inside this ancient drink is not folklore. It is documented, peer-reviewed biological science that is only now beginning to receive the serious attention it has long deserved. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. It is among the most extensively studied neuroprotective plant compounds in the world. What makes EGCG extraordinary is its ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, one of the most selective boundaries in the human body. Once inside, it has demonstrated in multiple peer-reviewed studies the ability to directly suppress neuroinflammatory pathways at the cellular level. It essentially quiets the static inside your brain. Green tea also contains an amino acid called L-theanine. This is where the research becomes particularly fascinating. L-theanine increases alpha brain wave activity, the specific neural frequency associated with calm, focused, present-moment awareness. Not sedation. Not overstimulation. Neuroscientists describe the state it produces as alert relaxation, mental clarity that feels effortless rather than forced. When L-theanine combines with the moderate natural caffeine in green tea, the two compounds produce a synergistic cognitive effect that neither creates alone. A study published in the journal Psychopharmacology found this combination significantly improved attention, working memory, and processing speed, with the strongest effects in older adults. And a 2020 meta-analysis examining data from over 26,000 adults found that regular green tea consumption was associated with a substantially reduced risk of cognitive decline, with the most pronounced protection appearing specifically in adults over 60. 26,000 people. Multiple countries. All pointing in the same direction. This is not a wellness trend. This is large-scale published science, and the results are only as powerful as the consistency behind them. In Okinawa, Japan, one of the most studied blue zones on Earth, where people routinely live past 90 with sharp, present minds, green tea is not a trend. It is not something people do when they remember. It is woven into daily life the way breathing is. The women of Okinawa do not drink green tea because a study told them to. They drink it because their mothers drank it, and somewhere across the centuries that collective wisdom became a lived, embodied truth, that this simple practice was doing something real for the mind. And now the science is catching up to what they always knew. Researchers studying Japanese cohorts found that adults who consumed 2 to 3 cups of green tea daily, consistently, for at least 12 months, showed measurably better performance on memory and executive function tests compared to those who rarely drank it. Not anecdotally better. Clinically, statistically better. The brain responds to consistent nourishment exactly the way a muscle responds to consistent training. You do not get stronger from one visit to the gym. The adaptation happens because you kept showing up. So what does this actually look like in daily life? 1 to 2 cups of high-quality green tea, matcha or loose leaf, in the morning or early afternoon. Avoid drinking it at night, as even moderate caffeine can affect sleep quality in older adults, and deep sleep is itself critical for brain detoxification. Avoid large amounts of sugar. Excess glucose directly counteracts the anti-inflammatory benefits. A small amount of raw honey is acceptable. Plain is ideal. And if you can choose matcha, the concentration of EGCG per serving is significantly higher than in standard brewed tea. That is the entire protocol. 1 deliberate cup. Given to your brain every morning like a quiet promise. The woman at the kitchen table, the one who couldn't remember the word for ocean, she started making small, consistent changes. And 3 months later, her daughter noticed. Mom sounds like herself again. Really herself. The way she used to be. Your brain is not finished. It is still, remarkably, capable of responding. If this reached something in you, share it with someone you love who is over 60. Subscribe for daily research-backed content that respects your intelligence. And tell me in the comments, do you already drink green tea? Your brain has been working hard for 6 decades. It is still worth taking care of.